Hello and welcome back to Football Fanatics Weekly. I am Garrett Ettinger, as always, joined by Hugh Hainer. Hugh, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing well. This week on the show, we are going to talk about all of the Premier League games that happened this past weekend. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the transfers that have taken place, and we're also going to discuss some of the managerial changes that have happened.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
So, Hugh, we're going to start off with the games that happened on Saturday.
Yep.
Which game do you want to start with?
I'd like to talk about West Brom 2, Brighton 0, because that one kind of surprised me a little bit.
Okay. What were your thoughts about this game?
Well, I mean, West Brom scored goals, which is crazy.
Surprising, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is 20 matches for West Brom without winning a game. Finally comes to an end. And, yeah, I mean, it's a kind of, It's kind of a classic West Brom. I mean, they had 44% possession. They had 4 shots on target, and they scored 2 of those. So, they took their chances, which is something that they haven't been doing. And I think, this was a must-win for them. I mean, I feel like that's an overused term in football, but, it pretty much was. So, I'd say well done to West Brom.
Yeah, goals from Johnny Evans and Craig Dawson.
Yes.
I totally agree with you. They played Brighton. If Brighton would have won this game, they would currently be sitting in 11th place with 26 points, and
Right.
West Brom would be on the bottom of the table with 16.
Right.
So, I mean, this was like the definition of a West Brom must-win.
Yes.
And they did win, and that means they're only 2 points away from getting out of the relegation zone now.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Well
crucial
done for
win
them.
for West Brom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next we have Crystal Palace 1, Burnley 0.
Yeah, another kind of surprising result, I guess. I mean, not totally, though, because Crystal Palace has been on the up and up, and they continued their good form. So, I mean, they've been really resurgent recently, and, they did really well in this game. They dominated the shots. They didn't have quite as much possession, but they had 17 shots to Burnley's 8, so... And I believe they had a chip from Zaha cleared off the line at some point in this game as well. So it could have been 2-0.
Yeah. Another good result for Crystal Palace. Hugh, do you think that Roy Hodgson deserves like the Manager of the Year award?
I mean,
Manager of the season?
If they continue their like good form, and I think if they finish somewhere around mid-table, I think he's up there. I mean, it's going to be hard to beat Pep Guardiola to that if they continue to keep winning. But
right.
I mean, he's up there. He's performed a miracle. I mean, it looked like Crystal Palace was the worst team in England, let alone the Premier League, in the first couple games of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, what was it, 11, 12 games before they scored a goal? I mean, that's unbelievably horrible. I mean, this year in the Premier League, we've seen the worst start by any Premier League team and the best start by any Premier League team. So, a little bit
in
of
the same
turnaround.
season, no less.
Yeah, unbelievable. So, I believe he deserved a lot of credit. I mean, Zaha coming back from injury helped a lot. But
yeah, that was huge.
Yeah, he deserves some credit for sure.
Yeah, especially since Crystal Palace have now leapfrogged all the teams that were ahead of them for so long.
Right.
And I mean, they're pretty clearly on the path to safety, so.
Right.
Yeah. Next we have Chelsea 0, Leicester City 0. Chelsea dropping some points here in the top 4 race. That game brings them down to 4th place.
Yeah. It's tight. It is tight up top.
Chelsea haven't scored goals for a while, Hugh. What's their problem?
I mean, it could be fatigue. They've played a lot. They didn't have the break that everyone did because they played midweek.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it is Mr. Morata.
Yeah.
He has been very poor recently. I watched this game, and, I mean, Morata, I mean, he had some chances where you think he probably should score those. And he had the same problem midweek and the game before that. I mean, Morata is just in a rut, and that's hurting them.
Yeah.
Hazard's not scoring like he used to be. That's hurting them. I mean, they're just not taking their chances. And in this game, in particular, they didn't create very many chances. I thought Leicester played very well. I think even with 10 men, I think Leicester had some better chances than Chelsea did.
Oh, yeah.
Which is surprising and awful from Chelsea perspective. I think they just need to pick it up a little bit. They look a little flat. They need to get a little bit of sharpness. Mm-hmm. Having David Luiz out is kind of hurting them a little bit because he provides a little bit of that offensiveness coming out of the back.
Right.
So, yeah, I think a combination of all those things are just a little bit of a blip for Chelsea at the moment.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. It seems like their defending is, as good as it's ever been, right? Like you said, Leicester had better chances in this game, but they still couldn't score. So,
right.
Obviously, Chelsea's last 3 games in the Premier League, the FA Cup, and the Capital One Cup have all been 0-0 draws.
Right.
So they haven't let in any goals, but they haven't scored any goals. It just seems like they don't have anybody else in the squad who can score goals when the goals from Morata and Eden Hazard kind of dry up.
Right. And last year they had that with Pedro. They had that with Fabregas coming in. They had that, Diego Costa scored a zillion goals for them in place of Morata. But, I think their second highest scorer, I think, is Alonso, is it?
Let me check here. I think that might be correct.
And that's, he plays left wing back, and I think he has, 5, maybe 7 goals on the year for them, so.
Yeah, Morata is their top Premier League scorer with 10.
Yes.
And then, Marcus Alonso is the next person on their team with 6, so.
Yeah. So, yeah.
That tells you a lot about their midfielders this season.
Right. Which is, again, surprising how Eden Hazard made it into the UEFA Team of the Year, but we won't talk about that.
Right, yeah.
Ahead of a certain Brazilian that made a large move this summer, but...
Right. So just one final thing about Chelsea. It seems like Antonio Conte's been a little bit reluctant to play Pedro lately.
Yes.
Why do you think that is? Because I feel like that's part of the reason why they're struggling to score goals is that he doesn't get on the pitch.
Right. I mean, recently he's been kind of stuck in this 3-5-2 sort of deal where he plays Morata and Hazard at striker, and he has Fabregas at cam, and he has Conte, and he has Bakayoko, the 2 big buses in between, and that kind of worked for him for a while. But now we're starting to see, maybe 2 up front isn't enough. Maybe you need that third guy, and that's where Pedro was. Pedro was that third guy. He was that right forward of the 3, and maybe we're going to see them go back to their standard 3-4-3 because that's what worked for them all year last year.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they go back to that as well.
Yeah, I think that might be an answer. I mean, maybe not, but we'll see.
Right. Next we have Watford 2, Southampton 2.
Yeah, so Southampton here kind of blew it.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah, especially when they're relegation threatened like this and they had the lead. They screwed up a little bit.
Yeah, 2-0, and then they screwed up. Andre Gray with a goal in the 58th, and then Doucouré with a goal in the 90th minute. I feel like Watford either get scored on or score in the 90th minute every single game that they play.
Yeah, they keep the drama for late in the game.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it seemed like, I mean, I was kind of following this match as I was watching the Chelsea game, and I was like, oh, Southampton's up 2-0. They're finally going to get a win. You know, good job, Southampton. And then it was like, oh, it's 2-1. Uh-oh. And then 2-2. And I was like, oh, man. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. How concerned are you about Southampton at the moment?
You know, I wasn't concerned about them until kind of this right, like until this match day, basically is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Because I sort of felt like Swansea and Stoke and West Brom were all worse than Southampton.
Yeah.
And so even though Southampton's been kind of bad and they've been relegation threatened, it wouldn't really matter because in the end, those other three teams were just so much worse that they would be the ones who would go down.
Right.
But now I'm kind of starting to wonder if maybe, you know, West Brom beats them and stays up, right? Or, you know, maybe Swansea somehow pulls it off. I don't know.
Right.
And I think that's bad. That's really bad for Southampton to kind of be the team that was in the better spot. And now, as we're getting towards the end of the season, they're the ones that are kind of on the downward spiral.
Yeah. I mean, how long does Mauricio Pellegrino have until he wins a game or he gets fired?
Not long.
Yeah.
Not long. I'll say that. Because these other teams now that are getting better, right? The West Broms of the world have fired their manager, they've got a new one, and they're getting results, right? The Crystal Palaces of the world fired their manager, got a new one, and now they're getting results. They're getting out of the relegation zone.
Right.
So I just wonder if Southampton don't, you know, pull the trigger on that as well.
Right. Next Sunday they play Spurs, so don't see them getting a result there.
Probably a loss,
Yeah.
And especially on the form that Spurs are in right now.
Right. The next Wednesday, the 31st, they play Brighton. I think if they don't get a result against Spurs and they don't get a result against Brighton, I think Pellegrino's out.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So, yeah, Southampton, not good for them. Watford's still remaining somewhere around mid-table, so they're, you know, doing
They're
well.
fine.
Yeah, doing well.
One last question about Southampton.
Yeah.
How do you see them spending the Virgil van Dijk money?
I don't think they're going to spend it until the summer, which I think is a mistake.
Okay.
Because I'm not sure if they're going to stay up if they don't spend it.
Okay.
In the summer, maybe a center forward, maybe a center back. I mean, they have two pretty good fullbacks. They have two pretty good wingers. They have a good midfield.
Yeah.
I mean, Gabbiadini scored goals for them last year. He's not getting playtime this year for some reason. Shane Long has scored one goal in like 2 years. So
Right.
Yeah, I think probably a center forward and, you know, maybe a center back. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Next we have Newcastle United 1, Swansea City 1.
I mean, pretty fair result, I'd say, for these two sides. You know, Newcastle probably doesn't need the points quite as much as Swansea, but Swansea definitely needed it. They're bottom of the table, but they got a point when they needed it.
Right.
They had the lead in this game. They let it slip, but you know, I think it's a good point for them.
Yeah. An away game against a relegation rival, I think to come away with a point isn't too bad.
Right, yeah. I mean, not great for Swansea, but could be worse.
Yeah.
And these are the kind of games that Swansea was losing earlier in the year, so.
Right. And I think that definitely represents like a turnaround from not being able to score in those kinds of games to, you know, at least being able to pull yourself level.
Right. If Swansea would have won this game, it would have been their first back-to-back away Premier League wins for the first time in over a year.
Wow.
But unfortunately, that wait,
Yeah.
we'll continue.
Yeah. Yeah, so next we have West Ham United 4, Huddersfield Town 1.
I mean, David Moyes is a genius again.
I don't know about that. Yeah, so West Ham go away to Huddersfield. First half relatively even. Both teams score. Goals from Mark Noble and Joe Lully. Then we come back from the break, and a goal from Arnautovic and a brace from Marco Lanzini give West Ham the 4-1 win over New Boys Huddersfield Town. So
yes,
that result puts West Ham back above Huddersfield Town.
Yeah, West Ham climbing their way out of the bottom, which
Yes.
surprised me because they were doing terribly. Yeah, I mean, you got to give Moyes some credit. He changed it up. He went 3-5-2. He dropped both of their normal center forwards. He put Lanzini and Arnautovic up front, and it worked. So
Yeah.
give Moyes credit. He deserves
Yeah,
it.
that was a good tactical move.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, they played one up top against Tottenham midweek, and it didn't work. They had one shot on target, which happened to be an absolute rocket from Obiang, which went in. So they got a point thanks to Obiang, but they didn't create any chances with one up top. So needed to change. They went two, and it worked.
Right.
So, yeah. Do you think Moyes sticks around West Ham for a while?
I mean, I think maybe. I think honestly, if they don't, if they're relatively safe from relegation this season, then I think he will. Yeah, I
Okay.
think, he's an English manager. He's, not necessarily gonna play the most fantastic style of football
Right.
ever.
As we saw at Man United.
Right. But I mean, when he was at Everton, they did play kind of a more interesting style than we've seen him play in recent years. So maybe now that he's back at kind of like a mid-table English club,
Right.
he can kind of reproduce that thing that he had at Everton for so long. So
Right.
I think they'll keep him. I don't think they have any reason to change managers right now.
Right. A little bit about West Ham since we're on it. Chicharito wants out, apparently.
Yes, but where will he be going to?
I mean, a lot of links to Man United. Man United have not said anything about wanting them. I don't know why they would want Chicharito at this point. I don't think they do.
Yeah.
Sounds like a move to the MLS is the most likely, although Chicharito has come out and said in earlier years that he doesn't want to. So, who
Yeah.
knows?
Do you envision him maybe having a move back to Mexico? I mean,
Maybe. I mean, I really don't know because I thought he would do very well at West Ham.
yeah, me too.
He seems very isolated when he plays, though, and he's not getting a lot of help. And
Yeah.
he's not the kind of striker where he can be isolated. Like, he's not like, a Lukaku or something where he can just hold the ball for forever by himself.
Right.
He's a small guy. He's a good dribbler. He's a great finisher. He's
Mhm.
not great in the air, not particularly quick, so he's not going to run the channels for you. But,
Right.
he's a good finisher when he has help. And
Yeah.
at West Ham, he's not getting that help, which I thought he would, given the immense attacking talent that they have. They have Lanzini. They
Mhm.
have Arnautovic now. I thought they would have done a lot more with Chicharito, but yeah, I just don't think they're using him particularly well.
Yeah, me neither. I don't know how much money West Ham will be able to make from this deal, though.
Right.
Chicharito's getting kind of older. He's had a pretty bad season. It seems like
Right. I think he's
if I was
4
West
goals.
Ham, I think it almost might be better to just keep him for now. Maybe see if you can get him on a run of a little bit of form,
Mhm.
and then decide: are we going to try to make this work, or are we going to let him go for
Yeah,
a
I
better
agree.
price?
Yeah, I wouldn't quick sell him in the January window.
Yeah, me neither. Next we have Tottenham Hotspur 4, Everton 0.
Harry Kane can't stop this man. You just cannot stop this man.
Yeah. I watched this whole game, and what a game it was. And I don't know who was better in this game, right? I honestly can't decide if Harry Kane or Heung-min Son was better in this game. They both had fantastic games for Tottenham.
Yeah, I mean, Son is on an absolute tear. He has scored 5 consecutive home Premier League matches, which is a Premier League record. And then Harry Kane is leading the Premier League with 20 goals already. I mean, we're saying 20 goals is a good season. We're just over halfway, and he's already got 20.
Yeah.
I mean...
Do you think we're going to see somebody get past the 30 mark again, finally?
I think he'll get past the 30 mark. I was going to ask you, do you think he'll beat Ronaldo's, 36 it was?
Let me check. Let me look up here. Premier League goal scoring record.
Yeah, it's actually 38.
Okay.
38 games, 31 goals is the number. Suarez, Shearer, and Ronaldo all share it. So
yeah,
31's the number to beat. Will he get there? I don't know. He's gonna be close.
Yeah, he'll definitely be close. I don't know. I think it depends a little bit on how Tottenham's Champions League campaign goes.
Agreed. Yeah.
It seems like they're still kind of focused on that competition a little bit.
Right.
Let me ask you this, Hugh. Do you think that was the right decision after watching their performance in this match?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Okay. Because I mean, you see them kind of just absolutely dismantle teams like this, and you just wonder, if they would have focused a little bit more on the Premier League, would they be the closest team to Manchester City at this point?
Yeah, they would. But I think also, I don't think they would have gotten out of their group if they didn't put the immense focus that they did into that group.
Okay.
And I think they kind of had to get out of that group. So, and they're going to have to put that same effort in to get past Juventus as well. I think the reason, I may be wrong, but I think the reason that they focus on Champions League this year a little bit more was, one, because they had to get out of the group. Two, I think, they're starting to become a big club. And, they're getting this new stadium. It's going to be massive. It's going to be like the nicest stadium in the Premier League. Like, they're getting more supporters. They're trying to, build their brand. And I think if they do well in the Champions League, which they haven't done in a long time, that'll expand their brand more than finishing second again.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And I also feel like some of the Tottenham players have maybe reached a point where they're tired of finishing second. Right. They're tired of kind of always being the second best team in the league, which is really what I think they've been for the last 2 or 3 seasons at this point, right? They have been, one of the best teams, right? Like one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the league for the last, 2 or 3 seasons, but they just haven't been able to get on top.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so I just wonder if maybe, they just think, hey, if we can make a really good run in the Champions League, that'll be something. But, after this game, I heard a lot of talk about, people saying if Harry Kane's going to leave Tottenham. I mean, do you think that's going to happen?
No, I don't see it happening.
Okay. Me neither. I think he's going to stay there for his whole career.
Yeah,
so.
He doesn't seem like a guy who wants to move. So
yeah.
Yeah, so well done, Tottenham. Everton kind of falling off the bus a little bit here.
Yeah, did you hear Sam Allardyce's comments after this game?
No, I didn't.
He basically said, he basically called, I don't know how else to say this, he called his players lazy, basically. He was like, after we went 2-0 down, the players just decided, they were going to stop trying, and that's not acceptable, and that's something that I need to change. And I thought that was really, surprising, because, it felt like after he came in and he started getting better results for Everton, like that was the thing that he did change. But like at the end of those comments, he said like, I was like trying to change it, but I need to like keep working on that. So those are some interesting comments from Sam Allardyce there.
Yeah, I mean, would you agree? I mean, you watched the whole game. You said, do you think did it look like Everton gave up? Because I mean, the stats look like they gave up.
Yeah, they did a little bit. I mean, it's so hard when you're playing a team that is just so much better than them. I mean,
right.
Tottenham were really on form today, but I definitely think there was a somewhat noticeable drop-off in the way that the Everton players approached the game after they went the second goal down. So
yeah. I mean, looking at the statistics, the only statistics that Everton led in were clearances and offsides.
Yeah.
So that tells
not the
you
ones you want.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
0 shots on target as well for Everton in this game. So
yeah, not a good game for them.
No. Yeah. All right, shall we move on to Sunday?
Yes. Bournemouth 2, Arsenal 1.
I said it last week. Wenger out. It's got to happen. It's got to happen.
I agree. I agree with you at this point.
He's got to go.
Yeah. What happened to Arsenal in this game?
I don't know if it's so much what happened to Arsenal in this game, but what happened to Arsenal the past couple years. I mean, like, look at the squad they have now compared to the top 6. I mean, their squad is clearly the worst squad out of the top 6. Like, it's not even close.
It will only get worse when Alexis and Mesut Ozil leave.
Yeah, so Alexis is going to leave probably today. I mean, it's probably going to happen today. Mesut's probably going to leave in the summer. Jack Wilshere also is out of contract in the summer, so they need to sign him again. He's been their best player this year.
Yeah, although it seems like a deal's been made to have him leave as well.
Yeah, which...
I'm sorry, to have Theo Walcott, leave as well.
Yeah, Theo Walcott, yeah. Which, I mean, he's been one of their better players recently in their... I mean, not this year, but in previous seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, the wheels on the bus of Arsenal are falling apart. I mean, this is not looking good at all. I mean, just look at their squad. I mean, they have, like, Rob Holding and Callum Chambers starting in defense for them. Like, I mean, these are decent players, but they're really young, inexperienced players. You know, they have Alex Iwobi. They have Niles playing left back, who looks like a good talent, but again, young, inexperienced. They have Petr Cech, who is really close to retirement. Who's their backup? I mean, they have Ospina. I mean, they're going to have to get someone to replace him. You know, they have Granit Xhaka, who is a decent player, you know, not great.
Yeah, hasn't quite panned out the way they thought he would.
Right. I mean, then they have Lacazette, who's a great talent, you know, one of the best strikers in Europe for sure. But he's not getting the support he needs because the rest of their squad is not very good. I mean, if you just looking at their team is not very good on paper.
Yeah.
And they don't play very good on the field because they're not very good on paper.
Right.
So, I mean, Arsenal fans are kind of expecting them to win all these games, but looking at their squad, I mean, this looks like a mid-table team. You know, this looks like an Everton where you have, you know, honestly, Everton's like team is very comparable. If you take away Sanchez, their team is very comparable. And from an Arsenal perspective, that's scary because this is one of the biggest clubs in Europe. It was, and now it's not. You know, this team, I mean, are we really okay with them? I mean, before they were kind of okay with winning the FA Cup, finishing 4th. Now, winning nothing and finishing 6th or 7th? I mean, are we barely getting Europa League? I mean, I think this pattern for Arsenal, I think, is going to continue for at least another year. I think they need at least 2, maybe 3 windows to build a new team because the team they have now is just not good enough.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't even imagine like what it's going to do to Arsenal to just have, you know, just to be continuously not qualifying for Champions League. You know, I mean, we kind of saw what that did to Manchester United a little bit when they sort of had their seasons where they were just really struggling, with David Moyes, and then, barely scraping by with Louis van Gaal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not good for the squad to not have that experience. It's not good for the brand to not be in that competition.
Right.
And I just wonder how many, if they fail to qualify this season, right, it becomes so important for them to qualify next season, because 3 seasons in a row without Champions League for a club like Arsenal is not acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Arsenal, I think their best bet might be to win the Europa League to get back in. I mean,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But at the same time, too, with, how do they fix the problem? How are they going to sign any big name? I mean, what's the appeal to come to Arsenal right now? I mean, what do you say?
Honestly, I don't know. Because there's no Champions League.
Yeah, we'll pay you tons of money, and we'll finish 6th. You can be our best player. What? Yeah. What do they tell? Aubameyang. Mm-hmm. Why in the world would Aubameyang leave Dortmund?
I don't know.
You're at one of the best clubs in Europe with Dortmund. They're not doing great at the moment, but they're gonna get Champions League every year.
Yeah.
You can be one of the top scorers in the Bundesliga. I mean, maybe if he wants to try his hand in the Premier League, maybe that would be a thing for him to come. But how many star players are they going to be able to get? Because they need 4 or 5 really good players to turn the squad around. Mm-hmm. And I think it's going to take a couple windows to do that.
And it's so different from other teams in the Premier League, where if you're a player who's trying to be enticed to come play at a different club, Tottenham, right? Mm-hmm. It's exciting to be able to play with Harry Kane, or to be able to play with Dele Alli, or to be able to play with Christian Eriksen. It's exciting to go to City and play with Aguero and David Silva and Kevin De Bruyne. It's exciting to go to Manchester United and play with Paul Pogba and David De Gea and right. Who's going to be that person at Arsenal once Alexis and Mesut Ozil go?
Right. I mean, the reason they got Lacazette was we'll pay you a lot of money and you can come be in a front 3 with Sanchez and Ozil.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's hey, can you please help Lacazette, because that's kind of all we have going forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if I were Lacazette, I would be a little bit concerned and be hey, this isn't what I signed up for.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, they're 8 points adrift of the top 4 at the moment.
Right. And it seems like the teams that they're really competing with for top 4 in Liverpool and Tottenham and Chelsea. Mm-hmm. Chelsea might be getting a little bit worse, but it seems like Tottenham and Liverpool are both getting better right now.
Right.
So, that doesn't make it any easier for them.
Exactly. Yeah. So, what are you saying? Champions League for Arsenal next year, yes or no?
Only if they win the Europa League. If they get Champions League, it will be through winning the Europa League.
Right. And honestly, I don't really see them winning the Europa League either. I mean, the Europa League right now has Dortmund, Olympique Lyon, Napoli. I don't really see... I mean, I think RB Leipzig is in there too, right? I think they finished 3rd in their group.
So, yeah.
I mean, there's some good teams in the Europa League. Compared to last year, I mean, there are some amazing teams in the Europa League this year.
Yeah, and some of the Napoli is really the only team that's focusing on a domestic competition right now.
Right.
In Serie A.
Yeah, I mean,
so you kind of imagine that Leipzig and Lyon will both really focus on this competition.
Yeah, I mean, Everton's in, AC Milan is in.
Mm-hmm.
Lyon is in, Arsenal's in, Athletic Bilbao's in, they're not bad.
Yeah.
Lazio is in, they're not bad. Zenit, Real Sociedad. I mean, there are some good teams here in the in the Europa League, excuse me. So this is no walkover for Arsenal, and I'd say they're not even close to being favorites to win the Europa League either.
Yeah, probably not.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
So enough about Arsenal. Oh, also, what do you think? How long does Wenger have?
I think they won't qualify for Champions League at the end of the season, and then he will be sacked.
Yeah. And I think it's almost nothing personal. It's just the club needs to go in a new direction. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
They're showing no signs of improvement. If anything, they're only getting a little bit worse.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's even better to say they are not getting better or worse, but the other teams around them have all gotten better.
Yeah.
Right? I think you see that in the way that the 5 teams in the Champions League have all made it to the knockout stages in the Champions League right now.
Right.
The other 5 teams, the other 5 good English teams have gotten a lot better, and Arsenal have kind of stagnated.
Right.
And if you're not getting better, you're getting worse, right? And that's what's happening to Arsenal.
Right.
So,
and that's what we said over the summer when we were talking about transfers, and we were like, hey, Arsenal got a good striker, but that's it.
Right.
They didn't sign anyone else. I mean, they got Kolasinac, but I believe he's injured at the moment anyway. So.
Yeah. And we thought that Alexis was going to leave, right, at points in the summer too. So that didn't help them.
Right.
Yeah. So next we go on to Liverpool 4, Manchester City 3.
Game of the season.
Yeah.
Easily.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
so
go ahead.
How did Liverpool do it? How did Liverpool, finally beat Manchester City?
Well, they finished all of their chances. They high pressed, and they didn't let City win the ball back as soon as Liverpool got the ball, because that's what City's done to people all year. They attack, they lose the ball, and then they get it right away. They win it back immediately. And because of players like Salah, because of players like Mane, Firmino, they were able to dribble with the ball and get out of those immediate pressures and then just tear City apart on the counterattack.
Yeah.
And I think that's the formula to beat City, and they did it perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I love this stat. Liverpool had 36% possession in this game, and they scored 4 goals.
Yeah, that's impressive. That's just
with 36% possession.
Some brilliant finishes in this game, and it could have been more.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Liverpool hit the post quite a few times during this game.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, to produce this kind of performance after your best player has just gone to another club is just like astounding, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's such an incredible testament to the way that Jurgen Klopp manages teams that, after a couple days after their best player leaves, he can get his other great attacking talents to just go, to produce the best performance they've had all season against the best team they've played all season.
Yeah, easily. Yeah, I saw a really interesting stat the other day about Coutinho. And Liverpool, with Coutinho in the Premier League this year, they've played 14, won 6, drawn 7, lost 1. That's 1.8 points per game. Without him, they've played 9, won 7, drawn 1, lost 1. 2.4 points per game without him. Are they better off without him?
Well, I mean, that's what the stats suggest.
Yeah.
But I always think, it's a little bit better to not have a player whose head is already at a different club in your squad.
I mean, he was basically going to move this summer until that kind of collapsed. So
yeah. It was a good showing from Liverpool to do that without him. And it definitely shows that I think the other players that they have there are committed to the club, right? In a way that maybe Coutinho wasn't. Maybe he was kind of looking to pull a Luis Suarez and just play to the best of his ability and then take the first door out. Where it seems like maybe some other Liverpool players are more committed to what Jurgen Klopp's trying to build there.
Right. I don't feel like Salah's going anywhere anytime soon. Same with Mane. Same with Firmino. So yeah, I think they're building something special there, and I think given another window, maybe 2, I think they could challenge for the title.
Yeah.
How about let's talk about City for a minute. They drew against Crystal Palace the other week. Could have easily lost if Ederson doesn't save that penalty. They have a close game with Bristol City, only 2-1 there. So kind of nervy there, and they lose this week to Liverpool. Are we seeing the start of a blip for City, or are they just gonna keep chugging along?
I mean, maybe it's such a hard question to answer because for the duration of this season, City have kind of had all of the elements that you need to win the title, right?
Right.
Like I feel like you need skill, you need like a good team dynamic, good team spirit, and you need just a little bit of luck,
right?
A little bit of fortune, right? And they've had kind of all of those things,
right,
throughout the season, and I think they still have it. So I think they'll still be totally fine.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's gonna be any real blip for them. Right. I mean, could we imagine them maybe losing when they play Tottenham or United or Chelsea?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe one of those games. Yeah. But I don't see a scenario that they lose all those games in.
They need to drop 12 points. United needs to make up 12 points somewhere. So I don't see that happening.
Yeah, the only way I think that United or now Liverpool or Chelsea could possibly get back into this race is if they start really losing games, which there's no way that's going to happen. So,
I mean, United's going to have to win out basically, and they're going to need help. So it's
yeah. I mean, I will say I think up until this point, City were very fortunate in some of the games they played in November and December to get wins.
Yes.
I mean, you're right. They just scored several last minute goals.
Right.
Where you just think, if the ref would have added on, 4 minutes instead of 5,
right,
or 3 minutes instead of 4, Manchester City wouldn't have gotten all 3 points in that game.
Right. Or if Lukaku knows how to make a clearance.
Exactly. There's a lot of little small things throughout the season that have consistently gone City's way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that will continue, and that's also a lot of stuff that's they're making, right? That they continue to press teams until the last second.
Right. You
don't
kind of make your own luck, sort of thing.
Right, exactly. And I don't think that's going to change at all, right? So even if other teams kind of wisen up a little bit, City's quality is not going to change, and that'll be enough to get them the title.
Right. I think, I think the loss almost might be good for City in that, they don't have to deal with the questions are they the new Invincibles? If they go on and lose maybe one or draw 1 or 2 games till the end of the year and they win the rest, I mean, I still think we're talking about probably the greatest Premier League team of all time.
Yeah.
It's at least got to be up there with the Invincibles and got to be up there with 08 United. It's got to be.
Yeah, it'll definitely be one of the best. I think a lot of that depends somewhat on Champions League performances as well.
Yeah, if they win a double, I think that'll be
right.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like they need to perform in the Champions League in order for us to say, this is comparable to late 90s Manchester United, or this is comparable to mid 2000s Arsenal, right? The best teams that have been in the Premier League so far.
Right.
But I expect them to do that. So
right. I mean, you look at 99 United won the Premier League and they won the Champions League. 05 Arsenal won the Premier League. I believe they lost the final in the Champions League. Yeah. So they released in the final. And then 08 United, they won the final, won the league. I think City at least has to make it to the final to be in the conversation. If they win it, then I think they have a real strong argument.
Yeah.
So, but I think they at least have to be in the final.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So. And if not in the final, they need to have one great semifinal appearance.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just wonder a little bit.
Yeah. I'd be a little skeptical. So the last game happened yesterday. Man United 3, Stoke 0. Are Stoke the worst team in the Premier League currently?
Possibly. I mean, maybe. They're in the relegation zone, yes. Southampton might be worse than them right now. Or also possibly Swansea. So,
yeah.
If they're not the worst team, then they're the second worst team. So,
yeah, they're up there, or should I say down there, for the worst team in the Premier League.
Yeah,
I mean,
not much consolation.
I mean, I watched most of this game, and Stoke literally, they just look so disorganized, and they're just all over the place. They created like 2 chances the whole game. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's not much to say.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a new manager now, Mr. Lambert. How do you think he will do? Do you think he'll help, make it worse, keep it the same?
Well, on the basis of this game, they have not gotten any better. So,
yeah.
I mean, obviously we need more games to work with.
Right. He hasn't even had a training session yet, so.
Yeah, they really need to pull a turnaround right now, so.
Yeah. I mean, their play was almost as ugly as those away kits were, so.
Yeah.
Those are just, I mean, Macron, what are you thinking? Yikes.
I don't know.
Yeah, so Paul Pogba now is tied for the most assists in the Premier League with Kevin De Bruyne with 10 less games played. He also has a few goals. I think he has 2 or 3, maybe 4 goals. Are we seeing the Paul Pogba that United fans have wanted to see?
Yes. Yeah. As a United fan, this is what I expected from Paul Pogba when he came to this club, and we're getting to the point where he's starting to produce that. I think he's growing into his role as kind of the central guy at Manchester United,
right,
as the guy who kind of leads the team a little bit more. If you watch all of their games, you notice that he's been getting the captain's armband more often.
Yes.
This is just as a Manchester United fan, to watch Paul Pogba like this is kind of a dream, because
right,
people talk about watching like a good striker like Harry Kane or like Sergio Aguero, but the thing about them is you only kind of get to watch their moments of brilliance once or twice, sometimes a hat trick,
right,
sometimes 3 times per game. But it's with Paul Pogba, you get to watch his amazing little things all game long, right? The amazing passes, the amazing turns, the way he gets away from other people. It's he's definitely on one of his best runs of form, I would say.
Right. The way he keeps the ball is just unbelievable. He's so skillful, but he's so lanky. He's so wide.
Right.
You're either gonna foul him or he's gonna get by you.
Exactly. And you also notice, especially in this game, I think you notice that he is a guy who makes the right decisions,
right, more
often than a lot of other players do, right?
Right.
You just notice the way that he makes the right pass, he makes the right ball, he's in the right spot to get the ball.
Right.
There are things that kind of go a little bit under the radar sometimes, but that's what makes him such a good player.
Right. Yeah. And I think too, I think United have found a really good balance in their lineup. And so I think if they don't get Alexis Sanchez, which they might not, I think they'll be all right. They found a really good balance with having Martial, Lingard, and Mata kind of all playing in behind Lukaku, and so they kind of interchange a lot, and it's really difficult to defend because they all move around and they all go everywhere all over the pitch. And Matic just kind of sits there, and Pogba can do whatever he wants to do, and he goes everywhere, and he's always on the ball. And I think they found a really good balance. And I think, even if they don't have Alexis Sanchez, I think they'll be good because they found an 11. And I think that was kind of the problem last year, where Mourinho had, I think, over 30 different starting 11s. I mean, I feel like it's kind of one of those math problems. It's like you have 11 chairs with like 20 people. How many different combinations can you have?
Right.
So it's like they found balance. They found a starting 11 that's going to play every week, and I think they're just going to get better and better.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, me too. And the great thing about the squad that they have right now is that there's really only 2 players that they're going to have to worry about replacing anytime in the future, right? You know, Matic and Valencia are the only people who are over 30 in that starting 11, right? You know, Paul Pogba's in his mid-20s, David De Gea is kind of in his later 20s, you know, Martial, Lukaku, Lingard, Rashford, you know, the people that they play up front and, you know, substitute in up front, all pretty young, right? You know, they're not going to have to kind of worry about renewing the squad lately, so I think it's good that they can think about the squad improving together over time.
Right. The only one that I could see maybe is Juan Mata is getting a little old. I think he's 29. So he's getting up there, but I think he still has at least 2, maybe 3 years of good football left in him. So, yeah. So we mentioned Alexis Sanchez. It seems like a deal is going to be done today. Wenger said his future would be figured out within 48 hours, and that was on Sunday.
Right.
So it seems like City's out, Chelsea's in. United's been in. United's the favorite. Where's he going to go? What's it going to cost? Who's going where? What's going to happen here?
Honestly, I think he's going to go to Chelsea.
You think he's going to go to Chelsea? Interesting.
Yeah, I do. I think Arsene Wenger, he doesn't want to let another amazing player go to Manchester United like he did with Robin van Persie.
Yeah.
Right? He doesn't want to sell, 26 goals a season to Manchester United for less than £30 million again, because that was a mistake. He does not like Jose Mourinho, right? I think he'd rather sell to Antonio Conte than to Jose Mourinho, and we've seen that in the past, right? He let Petr Cech go. Petr Cech went the other way, right? So he's willing to do business more with Chelsea than I think with Manchester United, because I don't know when the last time was Arsenal bought a United player.
Yeah.
And I think he's not entirely sold on Mkhitaryan, who seems like he's a requirement for this deal to happen. So I think for all those reasons, he'll end up at Chelsea. Or he won't go at all, and he'll go to City in the summer.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, everything kind of points to him going to United right now, but I just don't. Just something seems to be stopping it. Like, I feel like it would have happened already if it was going to happen.
Yeah, me too.
So I honestly don't think he's going to go anywhere this window. I think he'll just be frozen out of the 11 and just wait till the summer and go, which I think is a mistake on Arsenal's part because they could get money for him.
Yeah, they definitely need the money to kind of renew the squad a little bit. So should we just discuss the Felipe Coutinho deal to Barcelona quickly?
Yeah, sure. Let's do that.
So Felipe Coutinho went to Barcelona in a deal worth, I believe, 140 million euros. Right? We kind of knew it was going to happen. We didn't exactly know when. So it seems like Barcelona has now spent all of the Neymar money on 2 players, Coutinho and Ousmane Dembele.
Right.
Who do you think was a better buy?
Oh, I think probably Dembele.
Okay.
I think Dembele's got more potential than Coutinho does. I mean, Coutinho is a great player, but I don't know. I still feel like Coutinho's a bit overrated. I've been saying this for a while, and everyone's like, oh, no, he's amazing. But if you look at his stats, I mean, since he came to the Premier League, him and Juan Mata have the same number of goals and assists, or around the same. It's really close. And, people aren't saying, Juan Mata is an amazing player or anything. So it's like, I don't know. I've seen some Liverpool games with him playing, and I just don't see it. Like, I see glimpses of, like, wow, this player's amazing. Like, he scores really great goals and stuff, but I don't know. I don't think he's that good. Like, I mean, no, don't get me wrong. He's a good player. I don't think he's anywhere near worth 142 million. I don't know. I mean, with Dembele, I mean, he seems like he has a ton of potential, and he looks like a fantastic buy. But with Coutinho, I don't know. I just don't think he's as good as people think he is. I mean, his stats don't lie. Goals and assists are the most important part of an attacker's play, and he has the same number as Juan Mata, who we would say is just a good player, you know?
Right.
So, I mean, I think it's good because they kind of needed another good attacking player at Barcelona, but I think they wasted a lot of money. Like, I think they could get someone else that's the same level as Coutinho for a lot cheaper.
Yeah, me too. And I would say, you know, given the prices that people have just been paying lately, I definitely think they've overpaid.
Yeah. I mean, if Paul Pogba is 89 and Coutinho is 142, like, are we really going to say that Coutinho is that much better than Paul Pogba?
Yeah.
I would say no.
I wouldn't. No. I mean, Given Coutinho, Paul Pogba, and Ousmane Dembele's transfer,
right.
You know, if it was up to me, I would go for Dembele and Pogba before I would ever make that Coutinho deal.
Easily.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, if I had, you know, plenty of money to spend, right, I would spend it on those two players for those deals before I would go for the Coutinho deal.
Easily.
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is kind of Liverpool knew he was going to leave. They knew Barcelona have loads of cash because of the Neymar deal, and they just were like, okay, well, if you really want him, you can pay $1 zillion for him. So
yeah,
I think they overpaid. I think he'll do well at Barcelona. He can't play in the Champions League because he's already cup tied, which kind of hurts a little bit.
Right.
But I mean, at this point, the league is kind of wrapped up for them. It seems like, if they stay on course, and it'll be nice to have a fresh player to play those league games that won't have Champions League legs on them. So yeah. I mean, it's a good buy. It's just I think they well overpaid for him.
Yeah, me too.
Although we're seeing some even, like, I thought the summer was ridiculous. I mean, now we're seeing $75 million for Virgil van Dijk, which is unreal. Like, I think $75 million for Coutinho would be appropriate. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's unreal. I mean, if we're just using the bar, like you said, of other players' transfers, I mean, if we're saying the bar is Paul Pogba and that's $90 million, you would have to say Coutinho is probably under that bar.
Yeah, I would think so.
I mean, not much, but I'd say just under that bar, probably.
Yeah, I would say he's around that range.
Yeah. I mean, and they paid not nearly double, but close-ish to double with all the fees and whatnot, so...
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that those two moves are, I mean, the imminent Sanchez move, and I think, you know, this Coutinho deal already done, I think, are the two biggest ones of the window that we're going to see, other than Van Dijk. So.
Yes. Yeah, me too. Hugh, who was your player of the week this week?
My player of the week was Sadio Mane.
Okay.
Yeah.
He had a good game.
He did, and his finish was emphatic. And he hit the post with a really good effort. So,
yeah, absolutely. My player of the week this week is Timo Werner.
Yes.
I watched the Leipzig Schalke game, and he got the win for Leipzig. I mean,
I love Timo.
They were drawn up until that point. You know, the game looked kind of even. Timo Werner comes on and just kills it for them.
Yeah.
So,
he's so good.
You know. It was a good performance for him. It's a little bit surprising he didn't start, but I mean, Leipzig looked so much better when he came on. It was amazing.
He's so good. I got a Timo Werner jersey for Christmas, which was a piece of paper with an order slip. So I'm still waiting on that. It's supposed to be here. It was in Miami on Saturday, so it should be here today. Hopefully,
that's good.
We can wear my Timo Werner jersey today. But
yeah,
I love him. He's great.
What was your goal of the week?
My goal of the week was Firmino's little curled dink in that 4-3 win for Liverpool.
Okay.
I love dinks. Dinks are just delicious.
Yeah. Mine was the Sadio Mane goal.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I love goals that go into the top corner.
Yeah.
Right.
Who
Like
doesn't?
right into the top
doesn't?
corner.
Yeah.
It's the precision. It was just a great goal. It was a great goal.
Honorable mention is Pedro Obiang because that was unreal.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. What's your story of the week, Hugh?
Well, my story of the week was basically that Chelsea joined the race when City dropped out because I did not see that coming whatsoever. I didn't see Chelsea trying to come in and get Sanchez. So yeah, that surprised me a lot, and that's my story of the week because, again, like I don't really see a need for Sanchez at Chelsea, so I was just surprised that they would join the race. But I mean, when a player like Sanchez is available for, 30 million, you kind of got to go for it. So,
okay. My story of the week is that Spurs have recalled U.S. international Cameron Carter-Vickers from loan.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
I'm not entirely sure why they did that, but they did. So
good for him.
Very interesting. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe he'll play a little bit. I mean, I think Spurs maybe want just another person in the squad, so interesting.
Especially when Champions League rolls back around. Maybe he'll get some Premier League minutes.
Exactly.
Good for
yep.
him. Do you want to go on to the next segment here with your little 20 questions?
Yeah, sure. So basically, I had this thought that we would do an extra segment, listeners, where we would basically do football 20 questions, where one of us will think of a football thing, and the other person has 20 questions to kind of guess what it is.
Okay.
And then we're going to keep score, and then at the end of the season, we're going to have like a little prize for whoever wins, right? And we'll do this kind of like every season, and listeners, obviously, you can play along as well. So,
right.
Hugh, do you want to come up with a thing, or would you like to guess first?
I will come up with the thing first.
Okay. All right. So, have you come up with your thing?
Yes, I have.
It can be anything football related, listeners. It could be a player or a team, or like a stadium, or maybe a competition or something. So anything. All right. Is this thing you're thinking of a club?
No.
Okay. Is it a player?
No.
Okay. Is it a coach?
No.
Is it a stadium?
No.
Is it a competition?
No.
Okay, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things.
5.
Okay.
Yep.
Is it? Does it have? Is it something? Is it like an association, like a UEFA or a FIFA or something like that?
No.
Okay. So it's not a player. It's not a coach. Is it like a piece of footballing equipment?
No.
Okay. Is it like an owner?
No.
No. Is it... Gosh, I'm going to lose. I think, what is that, 8 questions?
Yes, 8. 12 remaining.
Okay. Is it a kit manufacturer?
No, but that's a good guess.
Okay. Is it a ball?
No.
Okay.
By the way, by saying it was a good guess, that doesn't mean it was close.
Oh.
I just thought that was an interesting guess.
Is it... Wow, this is hard. Is it like a classic game, like a Classico?
No. So
like a derby or something.
It's not a club.
Okay.
But it's a team. We'll say that.
It's not a club, but it's a team.
Yes.
Oh, is it a national team?
Yes, it's a national team. 8 questions.
Okay. Oh man, this is difficult. Is it a European national team?
Yes.
Okay. Is it... Okay. This is a European national team. Do they... Oh, man. Okay.
It's going to be close.
This is going to be close. Okay. Is it a continental Europe national team?
Yes.
So, like, not okay.
Yes.
So, not England, not Iceland,
Right.
not Scotland.
Right.
Is it east or west? Okay, is it east of Germany?
No, it is not.
So it's west of Germany.
Yes.
Is it north of France?
No.
It's not north of France. So it's west of Germany and south of France. Okay, how many questions do I have left?
4.
I think 4?
Yes.
Okay. Oh dear. Okay, wait. Is it east or west of Spain?
Let me look at my globe here. It is west. No, east. Sorry,
West?
it is east.
East
of Spain.
East of Spain.
Yes, east.
Okay. So it's south of France, east of Spain.
And west of Germany.
East of Spain, west of Germany, south of France. Okay, so I think that means it's either Monaco or I think that might be the only team. Or maybe it's Italy? Okay. Is it shaped like a boot?
No.
Okay.
It is not.
Is the team okay? Does it have a coastline?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
One guess left, and then you have
Okay,
to
this
guess
is-
what it is.
Okay. Is this country smaller than Denmark?
No, it is larger.
No. It is larger than Denmark. Okay. Is it Switzerland?
No, it is not Switzerland.
It's not Switzerland. Okay, what is it?
It is France.
France.
Yes.
Oh, it is France.
Yes, it is France. So when you asked if it's north of France, I had to say no because it is France.
Right. Okay. All right. I should have. Okay.
So
that was a good one.
So do I get a
Okay.
point for you not guessing?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Yes. Hugh gets a point. Okay.
Nice. Good
Well,
start.
Listeners, I hope you were able to guess that it was France because I couldn't. I was thinking it was like south of France. I was like, oh, it's south of France. So it has to be like Italy or Spain or Portugal or something like that. Okay. All right. Well, I think that's all we have for this week, Hugh. So,
All right. Do I get to guess this week as well, or do we just do one?
we'll switch. We'll switch next week.
Okay. Cool.
So,
All right.
All right.
Yeah, we'll be back. I think there's some Premier League games this weekend, so we'll be back next Monday or Tuesday, maybe.
yep.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll see you then.
Yep. Thank you, listeners. Bye.
Bye.